All right, guys, we are live. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful, what day is it again?
I think it's Tuesday.
I think it's Tuesday. It's been one
I
of those.
thought it was Wednesday, the first half of the day.
In a nutshell, we have the privilege today of speaking with some of our Polk County educators. Would you ladies like to introduce yourself? Karen, you want to go first?
I'm Karen Westfall. I am a kindergarten teacher at Davenport School of the Arts, but I also have two of my own kids with me at that school, plus a pre-K son. So
Super mom.
doing it all.
Katie Pfeiffer, 5th grade math and science, also at Davenport School of the Arts.
And Katie has a couple kids too. She's being very humble. She has 2 high schoolers. It's tough times.
Another junior.
Whole other world.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today or chat with everybody today. We did this a couple of weeks ago, and kind of when they dropped the bombshell that we were going to be doing virtual learning, and kind of wanted to just get some updates about, now that the second bombshell has been dropped, which is we're not going back to school, and kind of what that means for you as teachers, what it means for kids and parents. So, Karen, what are your students, and maybe even your kids, what are they saying that they miss the most right now about school?
I really think it's the same thing that we're all missing, and it's that social part. They are getting at least some semblance of academics. My kids, especially my oldest, she's a learner. She wants information. She wants to learn. So she's getting enough on that level. But almost every day she's coming to me multiple times a day going, I miss my friends. I miss my teachers. Like, she just wants to hug them. She just wants to see them and talk to them casually, not just in a Zoom telling people to turn their mics on or off or stop their screen sharing or whatever. For my kindergartners, they miss like their friends, but they miss being at school. This was their kindergarten year. This was them. They finally were getting used to it. They're finally getting used to, there were no tears in the morning. It was excitement to come to school. We're working on different units, and it kind of was all taken away from them. And they don't really fully comprehend. Pre-K through first, I think, is having a really hard time fully comprehending why they can't see their teachers and their friends.
And Katie, what are you seeing with your kids?
They definitely miss their friends. They miss that social interaction. They miss recess. They miss being able to see their teachers and past teachers. And, and especially with 5th grade, it's their transition from elementary to middle. And so it's almost like they never got that closure. So that I almost hear things like, wow, we don't get the end of the 5th grade party because we always do this big cookout and we do movie days. And we usually do like a big ice cream party, so it's those end of the year things that they're already starting to talk about that they're going to miss. But yeah, I just hear like, I miss my friends. Like the other night, I happened to jump on Teams at like 6:00 at night. And this was on a Saturday. And 2 of the girls had been on a Teams meeting for like an hour and a half already. And so I just jumped in and I was like, hi guys. And they're like, oh, so they're definitely missing, just not their friends, but they're missing their teachers too.
So how do you think the students are adjusting to virtual learning so far? Where have you seen your major challenges? What do you think has been a success so far?
I think the initial major tech issues at least have calmed down a little bit. What I'm seeing is I'm actually able to go in because we are working on online programs exclusively right now as an expectation at our school. And I'm able to go in. I was able to send a couple of messages today and say, hey, they're having trouble with these words, or to a couple other parents, hey, they spent 30 minutes doing a 10-question fact practice. Maybe we need to, just monitor them a little bit more, let them know we're watching, things like that. So I think they're adjusting well, but still trying to push their limits a little bit. I don't think they're as engaged with their learning as they would be in the classroom. And I think that's really the struggle right now with the distance learning, the virtual learning. Even in the past couple of weeks, my first week, I had 15 out of 16 of my students signing on for all 3 of my Zooms through the week. And today I had 4. So I think that's kind of starting to decline too. But part of that is parents going back to work and things just kind of changing overall. So it's interesting.
Katie, what about you? How are your students adjusting to virtual learning thus far? Good, bad, and different. Did you have that conversation? Like, hey guys, you're not coming back to school. This is like your new life.
Yeah, they, and like I stated in the previous chat we did a few weeks ago, 5th grade was easier to roll into this along with middle schools and high schools because they use an iPad every single day in my classroom for math and science. The biggest challenges that I have seen lately is they know my expectations outside or inside the classroom, and they're trying to push those limits now with online. And because we communicate with the parents on Dojo and everything's online, I can actually watch them do in OneNote their science and math. And now I can write little notes in there. I can help correct things as they're even working it, so we can work together. But it's almost like it's become like an afterthought now that they know we're not going back to school. And we get questions a lot. Do I have to do this? Yes, you have to do this. We're still giving grades. Okay, but can I do 20 minutes instead of 30? And I'm like, nope, you need to give me 30 minutes a day in math. So, I mean, they're trying. And they're older. They're 10 and 11 years old. And so they're trying really hard to get away with things now. And, but we're just being patient. As long as we have things by the end of the year, then, you know, they'll get the grades. So we're not pushing, and we're not, our expectations have definitely had to be lowered as teachers with what we expect them to give, because they're not with us. They're at home, and we don't know their home situation either. So we definitely have to be more patient with them. But I mean, they still know what to do. It's just pushing those boundaries and those limits with both the parents and the teacher.
So speaking of the parents, we've been doing virtual learning here in our house, and you know, flexibility, I would say, has definitely been key. Things change all the time. You realize, okay, maybe they don't understand this like, you know, we thought they should, or it needs to be shown to them this way. So how do you think the parents are so far adjusting to the changes with virtual learning? Are you still getting that constant communication? Has it been positive feedback? Are they, you know, understanding, frustrated? What's been the general consensus?
I would say personally, I've had overwhelmingly positive feedback, but I think that gets back to relationship building from the start. Something that hopefully teachers didn't neglect at the beginning of this year, because now it's more important than ever, because now we're not seeing those kids face to face every day. Parents overall are adjusting. I think that they're in the same boat as all of us, in that as soon as they kind of get into a groove with something, it seems that something changes. So whether that's expectations, or whether that's them going back to work, or a spouse going back to work, or collecting unemployment, or whatever it is, I think there's still just a lot of changes that nobody's been able to plateau with an adjustment, so to speak.
And how about on your side, Katie?
Overall, I mean, we have good parent support. We do have to reach out, even at this age, we have to reach out almost twice as much, because they do rely on their kids, because they're older, more for responsibility. You know, and there are times I'm working with a parent on a Friday night at 8:00 at night, because that's the mom's only day off, and she has like 6 or 7 kids in the house. So I've really had to adjust my hours with the parents and just be able to work with them. And I get a lot of appreciation from parents like that. We really appreciate your patience. And I've had some parents that say you're requiring too much. And I'm like, 4 assignments a week, or, you know, 120 minutes of math is what we would do in one day, you know, normally at school. So I think parents are realizing how much work they actually do during the school day when they're not at home. And I think they're just as frustrated sometimes as teachers are, because, you know, they have their kid telling them one thing, they have the teacher telling them the other. And it's just it's that communication. And like Karen said, is like, if you don't build that communication from the beginning of the year, then yeah, you're going to have some upset parents. But I've not had a parent yet get mad at me. So just they're frustrated too, because they think their kid's doing the work because they see them online. And then when we say they're not doing their work, they're like, wait, what? So yeah, it's just a lot of communication, trying to keep the frustration down, trying to calm parents down. But I think they're adjusting as well as they can. And like with some starting to go back to work, you know, this week and next week, I think the dynamic's going to change again. Just like Karen said, it's there. And as soon as we get a teaching platform, then it changes again. You know, so there's never been that calm.
I think something too that you guys touched on when we kind of last spoke was just like outside stress as well. And I think that plays a big part in how, you know, parents and kids are processing all these changes, because it's kind of like, okay, put it on the plate then, you know, 'cause people have real concerns right now. So I think it can be, you know, stressful, most definitely for everybody involved. Karen, are you planning any changes with what you're going to do in your classroom when the kids do eventually get back to school, whenever that is?
In the classroom, I think I'm going to be much more comfortable introducing tech, even with 5-year-olds, even with little kids who a lot of times we go, they're not ready yet. They're not ready. Let's get into a routine of school. But I think that this whole experience is kind of showing that that routine should include the technology from the beginning. What I really plan to do is to look at a way that I can express to my parents how important the communication is to me from the beginning of the year, and also try to streamline my communication. So right now we do send out a weekly newsletter, and then we have Class Dojo, which, you know, we'll post as things come up. But I'd really like to brainstorm a way that we can do that so that everybody actually reads it, so that everybody actually knows that they have the information and doesn't feel bombarded. Because I think that's what happened at the beginning of this, is I feel like we were getting so many new updates so often that we're like, okay, we'll push that out. Okay, we'll push that out. And all of a sudden on Class Dojo, where you have like a kind of a Facebook wall type thing, a class story, you've got 5 messages that you've sent to parents in the course of a week and 6 things on Class Story. And then you're trying to remind them about something on Friday that they completely missed because there's just been too much. So I think that streamlining of communication and expectations is going to be something I really focus on next year.
I think too that the parents are probably going to have a better understanding now of how crucial that communication is, because you don't really ever know what is going to happen, you know? So this is obviously extreme circumstance, but I think everyone's had a really big wake up call as to like, hey, we do need to communicate with the teacher and know where to find this on the dashboard, and just kind of have like a grasp of the basics. I think will make such a huge difference in the future. Katie, what changes are you going to be making in your class?
Right now, I don't see many changes, only because, again, we start off at the beginning of the year. I do see it moving quicker at the beginning of the year, because now 4th graders have been on tablets and computers, so they know before they come to 5th grade how to do OneNote. They know how to do Teams. They know how to do these things. And for my upcoming 4th grade parents, this year we actually got really lucky for both of my classes, had 100% Dojo, 100% parents on Dojo from like the first month of school. So that has been a big thing. I think the other thing that might change is parents will rely more on Dojo and not their agendas, and look for notes. And because now we only can send Dojos or emails. And so I'm really hoping that that will help with even more parent communication next year, is that the parents now will be using Dojo more, because they realize that's like instantly to the teacher. But as for technology, I don't see much changing in our room. Maybe more math, because we still would do like half math OneNote and half math on paper pencil. But we tried to keep that because the math FSA went back to paper pencil this year. But I see them doing more math. Even though all their science is there, I see more math going on the iPads. I do think I want to incorporate more STEM challenges throughout the year, because I've been giving them little things here and there, and only 4 or 5 do them, but they're just thriving. They're loving it. And so I've actually been thinking about taking like 1 day a week, or maybe an hour a week, and put them in teams and have them do the challenges, rather than wait till the end of the year to do challenges when we're testing and we're not really teaching anything anymore. I think I want to incorporate it more throughout the year.
And then show them off to kindergarten.
Yes.
We'll go on a field trip upstairs.
Hey, you know what? We can do kindergarten buddies with 5th grade.
Well, I honestly have been so impressed with the creativity from the teachers to keep the kids connected, try and keep the kids so engaged. And that's been really cool. And I think too, like, some of us as parents maybe aren't giving our kids enough credit and don't realize how capable and competent they actually are to get things done on their own. I know I've been caught by surprise a couple of times myself. So what do you think, kind of a more general question, how do you think the future of teaching is going to be affected by what we've kind of learned as a community? So on a little bit of a broader scale.
I think the comfort level with tech, I'm hoping, I mean, like light in the darkness, I think we're all hoping that maybe the standardized testing and the lack thereof this year shows us something about how necessary it is not. I think that it'll be interesting to see how instructional hours are measured and looked at in light of this. So as we go into things like closures for hurricanes, but we don't have a hurricane, like it doesn't hit, but we're still closed to do that. Just those little things is how we can make up, so to speak, instructional time. And it'll be interesting to see how the views on those kind of things change, I think.
And Katie, how do you feel about any broad changes as far as what we've learned from COVID?
I see technology being more incorporated in the younger grades, even more than they already do. I think parents have also learned that, hey, my kid can make a TikTok video perfectly. They can get into OneNote. They know how to do this. If they can do TikTok, they can do OneNote. They can do this. So I'm thinking as a community as a whole, I hope parents will start letting their kids do more on their own and kind of try not to run the show and just, hey, they know how to do this. But I think also as a community, at least I'm hoping, I mentioned this before a couple of weeks ago, is I hope there's a better appreciation for what we actually do. And it's not just like they're in our classroom for an hour or 2 a day or 3 or 4 hours a day. Like, it's actually engaging. And so I think as a community as a whole, I'm hoping that teachers get a better appreciation for everything that we do.
Yeah, I think so much has even gone into what you guys have had to plan to do the virtual learning and how quickly that had to come together so that the kids didn't miss the beat. I mean, it's really impressive, and you had to do it on such a broad scale with such a limited amount of time. And, I don't know, everybody's resources are different, but it's definitely been an eye-opening experience, I think, for so many people. And I know, some of the moms that I talked to and friends have kind of had like the same general consensus that, you guys are rock stars and we can't wait to get the kids back to school.
Something else Karen said about the instructional time. I kind of started thinking about that. Like when we closed for 5 days for a hurricane, I'm wondering if it will go to more of like an online, okay, guys, we may be closing. Let's take our iPads home. Let's get prepared because we may have to do online learning next week. So I honestly can see some of that happening as a possibility. So we don't lose those 5 days of instruction. Or as the year before, I think we lost like 7 days the year before. So I kind of see that taking place of those. At least I'm hoping, because then the instruction doesn't stop.
And how do you, you guys do so much planning and preparation, goodness knows how far in advance. How has that affected your end of the year plans, not just for teaching, but like closing out the end of the year? And we're going to touch more on this later, but as far as from the teacher perspective, how does that kind of make you feel?
Yeah, I'm putting together memory books on my living room floor for kindergartners. And we were talking about how they're missing a lot of pages because there's a lot that we would do in these next couple of weeks. So it's sad. Luckily, we still have the resources with the paras who can laminate them for us and put them out, which I think will be good for kindergarten parents to go through. I think providing opportunities for our kiddos and families in general and ourselves to reflect on the year as a whole and not just remember it as, oh yeah, that school year 1920, that was the year of COVID-19. All we remember is these 8 weeks. Like, I think we need to remember that we had months and months before this that we also need to look back on and go, wow, that was so cool. Let's remember this about the grade level that we were in, which is what I'm hoping to do with my own kids. And I think creating a physical product is a great idea, but it doesn't have to be. Creating a scrapbook of some sort is a good idea, but really just making sure that we find some way for our classes to reconnect and get that closure somehow. We would have sang a little song. We would have done our mission statement. I think it'll be fun to put something together with them as a class, even if it's a Zoom call that we record and send out or something like that, where we sing some of our little songs and things like that. So that's what I'm hoping.
And Katie, how has this affected your plans for the end of the year?
We do, our leadership notebooks are online with OneNote. And so they're not getting 8 weeks of like celebrations they could put in there. So their leadership notebook is something to showcase to their parents of other accomplishments. It shows their test results. It shows like all these different things. And so they don't get to showcase 8 weeks of their 5th grade in their leadership notebook. And we always do, because 5th grade is a transition to 6th grade. So we always do an end of the year, like little party for them where we do movie days and have hot dogs. And, there's a day where we take and you just sign everybody's yearbook. And so we won't be, they even sign my yearbook. So, and I have a yearbook from every year I've been teaching with signatures. And so I'm going to have to find a way next year, maybe to have them come back and sign it and, bring me your yearbook so I can sign yours. So they're missing out on that. They're just missing out on a lot of 5th grade celebrations. We do 5th grade awards at the end of the year, and they're a big deal because a couple scholarships are given, which we still have gone ahead and chosen students for those scholarships. So they'll get them, but they're not going to be recognized in the auditorium, and so their parents come, their grandparents come to watch them get these awards, because we only do awards at the end of the year. We don't do awards every quarter. So if they had perfect attendance, that's a huge deal to have perfect attendance, and they're missing out on all those other things. Like, we had dress down day coming up. If they got a certain AR percentage and they didn't get that, we have talked about doing like a Zoom call and doing like a Brady Bunch video and have them all put their elementary shirt on one more time and have like the teacher and have all the homeroom class and then submit that. And hopefully that could be like on the website or in the yearbook. And so it'd be like a big Brady Bunch picture, but this is literally be the last time they have to wear yellow and purple. Next year they go to different colors. So it's a big transition that they're missing.
I told you ladies that my brother's actually a senior this year, so he had no he's not gonna have graduation, he's not gonna have prom. And I know, like, I'm so sad for them. Like, even, my brother's like, it's not a big deal, it's fine. Like, you don't realize how important those memories are until you don't have them. Like, I think they're so crucial, not just the academic side, but just even the social side. There's so much that goes into it, the relationships that they've built, and kind of just not getting that last hoorah and that little bit of closure. So what can parents do to make the end of the year special for their kids? And do you have any advice for them?
I think, like I said, reflecting, really taking the time to not just be like, what was your favorite part of junior year? Okay, great. Love you. Let's go get dinner now. But celebrating somehow, and really making a transition of some sort. It could just be a call to the teacher or a letter to the teacher to let them know. I know all of us would appreciate getting a letter from one of our kids that just said that they appreciated, like I said, that last 9 months that we were together. Don't worry about this 10th month, but the 9 months that we were together, let's reflect on that. I think working with other parents, especially if the kids are in like a transitional year, and doing a group, you could start with a group like Zoom call or something like that, but giving them hope of a celebration even over the summer. I think that ray of hope is going to be really important to these kids and their mindset, because like we said already, 4 weeks in to virtual learning, they're getting a little disengaged. So another 4 weeks of it, and that momentum, unfortunately, is going to continue in the direction we don't want it to. So I think having them find some hope for things to send their friends or do with their friends, and connect is going to be really important. I know for my kids, teacher appreciation's next week, and we already have just like, listen, we have like envelopes ready to go. We've got gifts in the mail, and I just literally reached out to teachers and said, can I please have your home address? Because I feel like you said, now more than ever, I really appreciate them.
Definitely. Katie, what's your advice to parents here as the end of the year wraps up for keeping that energy high, the momentum going, the excitement, if that's possible, and just kind of how to make it special for their kids, especially if they're missing out?
Yeah, so I just put something in the mail today for my homeroom kids, and it's not graded, it's not mandatory, but it's something fun to connect them with me. And I don't want to say it because I have a couple friends that are parents that might be on here, but I put my home address at the top of every single one of them, and I'm okay with that because
you gotta give us the tease. That's killing me. What is it?
No, it's so great though. It's basically okay. So and I've seen it going around Facebook, so I was like, okay, I'll jump on this bandwagon. So if you are a parent of my students in my homeroom, don't say anything. But I did a Bitmoji of myself. I actually bought a laminator. Yep. I bought a laminator and like Jeff, my husband's like, why are you buying a laminator? I'm like, I'm making Flat Miss Pfeiffer. And so if you know the story of Flat Stanley in 2nd grade, Flat Stanley accidentally makes himself flat and he travels with different people all around the world. And, so when I taught 2nd grade, I used to do Flat Stanley with the kids and have them mail like this letter to relatives, and the relatives would take pictures of Flat Stanley at different places or doing things. So it's just something fun for them to do to try and connect with me. So it's Flat Mrs. Pfeiffer. There's a little poem I put in there to the kids. There's a letter I put to the parents, like, this isn't required, but if they're going to build a fort, let Flat Mrs. Pfeiffer help them build a fort, or, things like that. I also am going to give my parents an assignment, which maybe, I don't know, but I thought it would be cute towards the end of the year to have them some way present to me their favorite memories of 5th grade, or maybe even their favorite memories of all of elementary, because with that transition year, I want to celebrate their accomplishment that they've made it to middle school. And so I thought about having them do a presentation, something either about fifth grade or elementary, and what their favorite memories were. And then also I want to celebrate what they're excited about for sixth grade. I really want them to try and connect with each other as friends, because also just because we are a K-8 school, I already know of 2 students that aren't going to be at DSA next year. So they've gotten accepted to different middle schools. So I think even trying to do like an address exchange or, you know, a phone exchange or something like that to where they can still stay connected with each other. Because most of the time when we leave, I don't know what students are going to different middle schools, and those kids don't either. And then they just never see them again. So I would really like to see them connect, them celebrate their accomplishment of making it to middle school, and just being excited to start that next phase in their life.
Yeah, I know Sienna even sent out a couple of postcards this week, which was crazy. And she's gotten some letters back, and she's really been enjoying that. She's like, is this what you guys used to do back in the day? I'm like, yeah, back in the day. So I think that's a great idea to just encourage that connection and give them something to look forward to, not just looking back and being a little bit disappointed. So last question. What are your final words for your kids finishing out the Karen?
I would say, I mean, well, okay, talking to kindergartners, my number one thing that I have been telling them is keep reading. Is keep reading and keep practicing, but I've actually had 5 of my kids meet their AR goals, which is huge because this is the quarter in kindergarten where they start reading, and I'm missing it. So I've actually been having them on Thursdays sign up for one-on-one time as read. So I think keep reading, and keep learning. You know, I think for the little ones, they like to play, but I think that parents just need to find some way to kind of spin that sometimes. And it's not that hard once you start to think a little bit outside of the box. For my own children, who are second and third grade, like I said, my pre-K boy, he doesn't really know what's going on. But my second and third graders, I'm really encouraging them to reflect on their year, to begin with the end in mind, to quote the 7 Habits, because that's what we do at our school, and to make a plan, to think about how they want to end the year and how do we get there. So do they want to end the year sad because they're not with their friends, or do they want to end the year happy because of all of the memories that we've made already and all of the learning we've had? And if you want to start it or if you want to end it happy, then how do we get there? So I think making a plan as a family to really get to where you want to be and end it the way you want to end it and end it strong is going to be really important.
And Katie, what about you? What are your final words for your kiddos for this year? Wrapping it up.
Oh, we got 4 more weeks, guys. We can do this. We got this. We've already done 5. What is this? The 5th week now, or a fourth week now? I don't even know. Like I said, the first half of the day, I thought it was Wednesday today. So just keep going. You know, just try your hardest. Do your fact practice. That's one thing I really try and get them to do the most of is fact practice, because adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, those are the basis of everything you do in math. So they do their fact practice almost daily. Just keep doing that. Get flashcards over the summer and do flashcards for 5 minutes with multiplying, you know, anything that keeps them learning, anything that keeps them motivated, anything that keeps them engaged. You know, and yeah, you know, it stinks for them and it really stinks for the teachers because we love our kids so much. And sorry.
You're making me
I
cry.
know. But we miss them too.
Hard.
And we miss our teacher friends, and we're just missing everything. So just keep going strong and know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, August is coming. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I appreciate you ladies so much. I know I'm so proud of all these kids. I think sometimes it's easy to forget that they're just little tiny people and they're trying to figure it out too. And if we're stressed, and they're probably stressed. But I'm so grateful for teachers like you guys that make it magical, that make it special, that make them feel important and connected. And I appreciate your tears. I'm sure there's been way more than that throughout this process. And I am so proud of these kids and everything that you guys have put together and come together to accomplish. So thank you so much for your time today. I know you're so busy and it's 5:30 and you've probably got dinner to cook and things to be doing. But thank you for, being leaders in the community, for speaking up, speaking out, and for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.